Greetings. In case you don't know me, my name is Mohammed Siddique, and I am the co-author of New Success Secrets and from Atlanta, Georgia. Today is not a typical interview. I'm just re-meeting my friend who just came back from a big mission. And you know what? It's so good to see him back. I don't know anything about what he's about to tell me because this is the first time this story is going to tell me how he went on a come up with a big mission, then actually worked on that mission. What that mission is, he's going to tell everything. I'm just making you curious now. This is how could happen. You have to have a big mission basically. That's big. Otherwise, think big or go home. As every speaker says, my friend actually did it. You know what? Now he is back home, and he was about to tell me the whole story. I said, you know what? Let's record it for all the friends for virtual on Facebook and everywhere else. So please join me to give a warm welcome to Srini Saripalli from San Jose, California. Srini, welcome.
Thank you, Siddique Saab. This is such an honor. It's an absolute pleasure. Anytime, whether we are recording or whether we are talking one-on-one, in person or on phone, it's always a delight to talk to you. It's an absolute honor. When I talk to you, that day becomes bright for me, and the next day also becomes bright for me. So this is an absolute honor. Thank you for having me. Thank you for recording this, and hopefully, I can motivate one or two people with my story. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, no, you have so amazing story, and if you are watching this, I will not be talking much. Let me tell you a few things. First of all, it's all about Srini because he is going to share so many things. What happens? And number two is I am fasting. It's almost a 14 hours already fasting, mean no drink, no food for 51 more hours to go. And hopefully by the time we are finished, otherwise we have a hard stop, so Srini, just take it away and share everything, whatever you like to share in any format. There's no really questions. I may ask you something as whatever I'm listening at 100% attention.
So thank you, Siddique Saab. So the idea, so just for everyone who is watching this, I just came back from an incomplete, rather is the right word, incomplete, attempt to climb Mount Everest. This year has been a challenging year. If you are following the news, you know how many people died on the mountain. There was no official window to really summit. Myself and several of us, we had to turn back for one or the other reason. I fell sick and I had to come back. Some people, one of my friends had a frostbite, so he has to come back. I also lost a new friend whom I made on the mountain. A couple of days ago, we were in the tent. We were having a great time, and the next thing you know, he passed away climbing L.E.G, which he successfully summited. But then he was found dead inside his Camp 4 tent. So this has been an eventful, journey. And I want to say, first time, Siddique Saab, I came across, a situation where you meet someone and that is possibly the last meeting. And you shake hands with someone, possibly the last meeting. So when you are climbing up, so people are climbing down, and you meet them, you say hi, hello to them, you ask them their name, and they ask your name. And we don't know if when we go back to the camp and everything is said and done, if that name is in the present tense anymore. I've seen life at a different angle this time. And as I said, this is an incomplete project for me. So I plan on returning to Everest at some point, and I want to complete the mission. So it has been an eventful 2 months, literally speaking.
Yeah, I know. We spoke before you left, so yeah, so we want to see you back, and I'm so glad you're back. So for the Mount Everest is in Nepal, and it's so they probably over permitting thing, they're overcrowded.
No,
that's the reason. So I've been calling.
Yeah. So let's talk about this for a second. So there are different perspectives. There is media now is putting pressure on Nepal and telling them that you need to reduce the permits because people are lining up in queues under the summit. and people are staying 2 to 3 or 4 hours in the line. And the longer you stay in high altitude, the higher the chances are your feet will get frostbite, and then there is a possibility that you die. Now, there is some logic to it, but here's the truth. You got to understand that Nepal makes most of its money from tourism. Everest is a very big draw. 30,000 people go to Mount Everest, at least the base camp, every year. About 500 to 700 people try to summit every year, all the way to the top. So there is a lot that is going on in terms of activity. Now, how would you, if you start rationing, like you start stopping people from coming, then it becomes, the country is earning its revenue from it. There's a lot of people who depend on it, and a lot of Sherpas. There's a lot of economy that works. So going to Everest will cost you anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 or more, and that's a significant amount of money. Now, the reason why you see a lot of people getting lined up and all, if you put 1,000 people in a small room on the same day at the same time, there is contention. There is going to be a stampede. So go on different dates. This is a people problem. This has nothing to do with Nepal problem, because they gave permits. They did not know the summit window, so they issued permits, and we choose which day should we go. When my team went up, there was no crowd. There were only 60 people on the mountain. Yesterday, my friend summited Everest with only 8 people on the mountain. So you just take one day, and then you kind of make a big deal out of it. But there is something also to it. In other words, if inexperienced climbers go, and that's a big issue. So they're asking to put some constraints, not necessarily limit the permits, but constraints. For example, you need to be on an identical mountain before you can come to Everest. That's a requirement they're trying to put. I don't know how that is going to go, but then if they put that requirement, I think it's a good requirement. So I wouldn't worry about this one single thing where everybody is making a big deal out of that one photo that is going around in the media. Everybody should change. The climbers should change. The expedition leaders, expedition companies should also be, more considerate in terms of, how they put people and how they identify the summit window and how they position themselves to the peak. At the same time, I believe the government should also think about whom they should give the permits, not necessarily to newbies, but then somebody who has experience, somebody who has climbed should get the permits, somebody with prior experience. So quite a number of factors, but I wouldn't read too much into it. See, here is how I look at it. The people who died, most of the deaths happened on the return. They did not have on the return. When they summited, when they're coming back, they died. If you look at the news, most of them. And that has to do with lack of preparation or lack of prior exposure, or something genuinely went wrong in some cases. Most cases, people pushed themselves to the summit and they expensed themselves completely. When they're coming down, it's exhaustion. So for me, I called it off in camp 2. I did not go beyond that because I was slow, I was becoming weak, and my immune system was not good anyway. So I said, if I'm performing this way at this level, if I go higher, then I'm going to, my performance won't be there. So that's the level of judgment one has to use. But then if you can't, so the higher you go, the less is the oxygen and the less is your ability to make decisions. You're dependent on your guides. You're dependent on your Sherpas. They should make the decisions for you and you should listen. I listen to my Sherpa. I listen to my guide. And if you don't have that judgment in play, I thought that if I go up, I'm going to put my Sherpas in risk. Forget about me, right? I'm okay with it. But I put other people who are taking me up there at risk, and that was not something that I was willing to do.
That's a wise decision. I'm so glad we are on this call now. So you went on the Camp 2. People who are watching, they don't know the Camp 2 mean. What's the height is of the Camp 2?
Somewhere around 21,000, 22,000 feet, wherever you set the camp up. And technically speaking, you can see the summit from there. And there is a video that I recorded where I showed the summit. It's not far, but it's very far.
Yeah.
It's not very far, very far. It's far because you see like this way. And this is, so climbing up 7,000 feet this way is a extremely difficult, exercise than going 7,000 feet this way. So it's very hard. And I mean, there was support, there were tools to do it. But here is the bottom line. I have no idea who is watching this video or who will watch this video, but I assume that they are business owners. I assume that they are entrepreneurs. I assume that they are professionals, right? So the message here is, you should never do anything with weakness. You should never, in life, this is the big thing I learned from the mountain, is you should never try doing anything with weakness. And in other words, you need a skill, learn the skill. You need experience, take the experience. You want to enlist somebody else's help, do it. But you want to be empowered. When you do something with power, the results are amazing. You are not exhausted, you are not taken down, you are not beaten up, and you'll enjoy the success. So that was the big message personally for me, is I made the decision very early on that I will not attempt the summit unless and until I am feeling empowered. And I was not. I was feeling sick. The doctors worked upon me. My immune system was low. I could not recover. So I called it off. Now, there are some people who did go up, and you can't believe that they were dragged down from the summit. Literally, they're sitting on the ice, they're pulled down. I don't want to be doing something like that. That is dangerous. So 3 things I learned. One is, you cannot have ego. Big thing in anything that you do.
Zero ego.
Zero. No, your ego, you have to kill it, finish it. Zero.
Okay.
Or negative, if it's better, if there is a number like that. That's one. Second thing is you need no dependency. My Sherpa cannot go, still I should be in a position to go. I should be able to carry myself. I need to use judgment. I need to make the calls myself. So you don't go on the mountain unless you are fully capable of doing that. That's the second part. And the third part is, so first is lack of zero ego, no dependency, and the third part is self-discipline. You need to be very disciplined about. Now, these things apply in real life too, right? This apply in business, this apply in every sphere of life. But it was very clear, when you are going all in, these things play a big, major role. So those are some of my lessons.
Yeah, the word is all in. Most people are not all in when they're doing stuff. So.
Exactly, it's the end of the story. I mean,
let's go back. How you end up in deciding? I know you we know each other for so many years now. So we were never talk about, suddenly a few months ago you called me and you're going for Mount Everest. You applied. How that even come out with a big mission? You want to do something? What was that?
Actually, honestly speaking, this is a 20-year goal. I was once flying from San Francisco to New Delhi, and in a United Airlines, I'll tell you, in 1999, I believe. And my flight got canceled in Hong Kong because there was fog in Delhi, and there was no way to land flights in the night. And United Airlines kept on canceling their flights, and then eventually I don't think they fly there anymore or something like that. So the date got canceled in Hong Kong. The next day morning, the captain flew the plane right around Everest, and he showed, this is Everest. And I had a glance, I looked at it, and I thought, wow, one day I want to come and try this. That's a thought. It took 20 years to validate that thought. Every thought validates itself. In 2011, I became very serious of climbing, and I started climbing. And then 1 year ago, I finally got myself into a position where full-time dedicated to climbing, and this, I'll just go climb. I was growing old, and then I thought it'll just from a timing perspective, it made sense. But I got an incredible sponsor who stood behind me, a very dear friend of mine, Sanjeev Gupta. Can't thank him enough. With a 6-figure sponsorship, he stood behind me to go on this mountain. So I put 5 things you need to succeed. One is you need physical fitness. So physically, mentally, emotionally, your wife, your children, your spouse, they have to support you emotionally, financially. So you can get all these 4 in place. But there's one other thing that if you can't get, you can't climb this mountain, which is spiritually. So if you can't get the spiritual angle right, I think the whole thing is a waste. 20 years ago, I had money to climb, but I had no meaning. So 20 years later, I have grown up, or at least I've seen life, and I have a meaning. So the meaning finally got attached to that thought. It became a goal, and this is the story. I wish I would have told you that I submitted, but hopefully that's for a different day, for a different discussion. But for now, this is the journey.
Definitely. So it takes 1 year to, of course, your thought came 20 years ago, and you need 5 things. The 5th things are missing 20 years ago. You had the money too. So how, so I want to kind of expand on that one a little bit. How it come up that meaning to you right now? What that really mean to you in this case?
So no, absolutely. If I trace back just the last 5 years, I lost my mother to cancer. Cancer gave, the kind of grace with which my mother fought cancer taught me a lot of things about life. My father, stroke. He's around, but he has lost his memory and all. So the fight that he has put in, with the grace with which he is putting up with it, taught me a few things. So many lessons, such life lessons, and then it finally came down to, okay, so I want to go and I want to do this. And I'll tell you, Siddique, first thing is I did not do this because I'm a great guy, or my friends think that I'm great, or I have scored something, or I become very cool, or I become very famous. None of those things are true. In fact, I did this because life was becoming very monotonous. I knew that I have, my limits have to be a little bit higher than what they are. I wanted to get to the edge. I want to explore myself. I want to see how far can I stretch myself, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. So all these things were the cause. And I'll tell you one thing. If I have to, there's 2 specific reasons why I did this. One is I wanted to change the conversations around me. They were becoming very monotonous. They were becoming very systematic or more rudimentary. And I want to have a different, when I speak to you, I wanted to have a different conversation with you. I didn't want to have the same conversation. How do you generate leads? How do you start a business? I didn't want to have that conversation. I wanted to have a different conversation with you. So trust me, at home, even my wife and children, everybody, the entire conversation pattern had changed. And we are talking about different things now. The second thing was, I wanted to tell a few people in my life that I stand 6 feet 2 inches tall. And not only I stand 6 feet 2 inches tall above the ground, I'm also 6 feet 2 inches beneath the ground. How do you tell someone that you are beneath the ground? So these are some of the explorations. And Everest is one. There are many such explorations. Everest happens to be the first exploration, but I will be doing more explorations along the way. And, And then there is no fear for life. Everybody who has been on the mountain, there is no fear for life. If life was supposed to end on the mountain, then there is no better place to go. And guess what? Our life is going to end anyway. I mean, rather than dropping dead in a room, I would rather than crippled by cancer or having a stroke or heart failure that I've seen very closely. I would rather be on a mountain doing something that I love doing. And if it has to end there, it's perfectly fine. We know the risks. We understand what it is. So nobody is in that much of absolute love with their life, whoever is going to that mountain. So there are risks. But here is the story. There are 10, 11 people who passed away on Everest this year. But there are 700 people who successfully summited. So there is triumph and there is the loss. But we're not looking at the success. A lot of the media gets on the negative side of it and kind of reports it. But then, the truth is that a lot of people who succeeded on the mountain. So we're not celebrating that, but that's the truth.
In media, anything bleeds that leads. That we all know that. So 700 people successful. The only this 11, 13 people lost their life, or they have been before?
No, more than 700 people, because Sherpas are also summiting. So we had about 400 people from the south, about 300 people from the north, so 700 people right there. Give and take, we had one loss from the north side. We had 11 people pass away, I believe, on Everest side. But then so many people submitted. So there is success, right?
Okay. So as you go in a camp, and now of course you are from India originally, and your religion is different. You probably can disclose it, whatever you like to. And some people will be Christian, and I'm sure hopefully there are some Muslim too. There are people from all over the world, from different colors, different religion. Do they fight with each other? Like here, people say, "Come on."
So you'll be shocked. There is only one religion on the mountain, and that is mountaineering. There is no other religion. It doesn't matter, where you are from, what your belief system is. Everybody does one prayer. Whether you're a Muslim or you're a Hindu or you're a Christian, there's one prayer. We all pray together. We take the permission of the mountain before we climb. And that is the Sherpas get together, and we have a Lama, a Buddhist Lama, who comes and who blesses us. Unless that blessing is not there, it doesn't matter who you are stepping in a very wrong place if you don't take that blessing. So you'll be shocked how I rushed to the mountain to just to the base camp to just be in the prayer. So no, it doesn't see the beauty of the mountain is this. It doesn't check your religion, doesn't check your belief, doesn't know whether you're a male or a female, doesn't know whether you are young or old. You have it in you, it will reward you. You don't have it in you, it will punish you. Very simple. That's how life is. That's the fact. I hope I answered your question.
On the yes, on the camp, if everybody is like almost like a one, why can't we live in the outside the same way? There won't be any war, no disagreements. There won't be billions and billions of dollars.
Remember the word ego?
Yeah.
Remember? So you are not on a mountain to drop your ego. You're on the ground. See? So you will put your ego ahead of you, and you will protect your ego no matter what. So you have conflict, so you have difference of opinions, so you have all those things. I promise you, my wife and I, we plan on climbing a mountain together, and you think that we will have the same disagreements on climbing up that we have at home? No.
Hopefully not.
No.
Because you have any time in discussing.
I know. I can guarantee you right now that there might be disagreements about the mountain, on the climb, with the logistics and all, but definitely not the same differences that we have at home. Like, did you pay the bills? Did you do this? We will not have those differences. And the reasoning behind that is we are singularly focused on one outcome. So when you focus singularly on one outcome, there is no, and you become one in the process, then there is no conflict. The conflict is when you have different values, different belief systems, and you see things differently. That's where the issue is. Now, I'm not saying there are no conflicts in the mountain. There are conflicts. As humans, we will have differences, but good differences. There's a difference between having a good difference and a bad difference. Now, I'm not indifferent towards you, but we have a difference. You see, there's a difference. I'm not indifferent towards you, but then, there is incredible brotherhood, caring for each other on the mountain. And anytime somebody is not caring for you, it's because they are not able to care for themselves. They are sick, they're falling sick, they're exhausted. So they're not able to give attention to you. But otherwise, everybody, we are walking, we're asking, hey, how's it going? Well, good. Okay. So you're okay? Yeah, I'm okay. So there is that comradeship. There is that friendship there. Absolutely.
Very good. Very good. So how did life look like on the camps when you start, because you went to the 22,000 feet, there still is a big, I saw pictures as you're like in the small, you're laying down and it's like, we can't visualize. Tell us the life.
I wish I could have gone a little farther than where I was, but then...
no, still 22,000 feet out of 30,000 feet, you have done 75%, a little bit more than that. That's not a small number.
Correct, but at the same time, relatively, it's a small number. If you talk to any mountaineer, people who have done it, that's a small number. But then, if you look at it from that side, it is.
It's like I'm looking at the water in a glass. Okay, just
right.
Yeah.
Right. But the problem is the amount of effort you put in to go to camp 2. You need the same amount of effort from camp 2 to camp 3 or more. And you need more than that from camp 3 to camp 4. The higher you go, the difficult it becomes in your body and your mind and everything, less and less and less, more exhaustion, less on energy. You can compensate with oxygen and all, but it's a different dynamic as you're going higher. The thing is, you don't shower, you don't brush, you don't, you are eating, you're constantly focused on that one outcome. Now, here is something that the takeaway, right? If you're running your own business or you're a professional, let's say, take the example of running your own business. If you don't shower for the next 1 month, you don't brush your teeth for the next 1 month, and you simply focus on generating revenues and profits, and simply 24/7, every minute, every second, you are simply focused on the business, what will happen to it? I think you can't go wrong. I mean, the only way is to grow. Either you become stronger or your business becomes stronger as a result of that. So that's the big takeaway for me, is if I could simply focus on one thing and I shut down everything that I do and simply apply myself relentlessly to that one thing, in 1 month, I can completely change the entire domain of my life. I think that's a big takeaway from the mountain. And that's what exactly happened there. Camp to camp, you are exhausted, you're tired, but you're singularly focused on the summit. And that
single focus like this, there's nothing else matters.
In fact, if you have 2 eyes, you're seeing too much. You just close one eye.
Oh,
and just that's it. And I also learned how to walk, how to carry myself, because what I realized that my 2 legs, I have to tell my legs to walk, which we don't do here. Everything is automatic. I'm moving my hands. So when I'm on an ascender or a jumar, I have to put my hand on top of the rope. I'm telling my right hand to go. It's so hard. So everything you do is incrementally taking you towards the summit. And if we replicate that in real life, I think there is no substitute. So question comes down to is, how badly we need what we want, or, whatever that success is.
Yeah.
And I think Shiksha, you are in business and I'm in business. We do seminars, workshops, and all. I just between you and me, my conclusion is that people are choosing to fail in business. There is nothing called, you can't be done. With so much of amazing education and support and mentors and wealth of knowledge available in different shapes and forms, I think people choose not to. They don't put in the effort. So
Yeah.
this is a lesson.
They say knowledge is power is wrong. In fact, applied knowledge is power. You have to apply it, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's if we're not going all in, that's the problem too. Everybody needs security and everybody needs, we put all these barriers around us in our thinking, and then we can't. So once a thought is compromised, your body cannot move. It cannot operate. So you put some limiting thoughts around you, it's hard.
Definitely. And the number two is how about self-doubt? We are mostly people when they start something new. In this case, you started this monitoring part is new basically on your body.
Very late I started.
Very late.
Yeah.
So how the self-doubt, oh, I have no idea, can I do it or not? I don't think so I'm ready or not. So how you really remove that doubt thing in yourself?
Very simple. There was a point where I said, if anybody can do it, if one more person can do it, I can do it. This was my mindset going in. I'll climb. I'll try. I will push. I can tell you the reason why I came this far is because I had some good guides when I started. People who would guide me. I think guidance is important. I think mentoring is important. You can start your own. You can try. You can stitch it on your own. But I did not have time. I started in late 30s. I was almost nearly 40 years old before I got into this. And then I'll tell you one amazing thing happened as a result of all this. I lost 26 pounds on Everest in 2 months, which I would have never.
You are never a big person.
No. Yeah. I was not, but then still I shrunk, and I lost. And now I don't feel that I lost because that was unnecessary weight on me. I was carrying 26 pounds in the mountain.
Oh my God.
Unnecessary. I mean, with a frail body like this right now, I can still carry the same weight. I can still climb better than what I was climbing 2 months ago. So a lot of lessons like this from. I took like 33 pages worth of notes.
33 pages of notes.
33 notes about myself and what on performance, on physiology, on psychology, on all aspects. 33 pages. Yeah. So there is a lot of lessons there for me personally.
So logistically, it's very hard, on you, and plus people who are supporting you as a team. They, whoever you go with them, they are taking all the logistics, food and water and whatever you need over there, and that many days on the camp on different levels.
I'll tell you how this works. So we move everything in yaks to the base camp, and base camp is where you are staying for a longer time. We have we have a dining tent, we have a cooking tent, we have multiple cooks. And then we have a second camp on Camp 2 where we have a cook. So base camp supports up till Camp 2, and Camp 2 supports all the way to the summit and back. We eat fresh food like vegetables and all that. How do they come? Helicopter comes and drops all the stuff on a daily basis. So there is heli service to the base camp that drops food, and then there are porters who carry the food from the base camp to Camp 2 also. So food is not the issue. Infections are an issue on the mountain because the water that you drink, which is by the way snow or ice that you melt, that doesn't have any minerals in it. So the water that we drink have minerals in it. So because it is not mineral rich, the water that you drink is not really doing the job that it otherwise should do. So you have to take electrolytes and things like that. So there are some pros and cons, but then more or less a clean environment if you seriously think about it. Very close to nature, very clean. So yeah.
Very hard one.
Hard one. Yes. Yes. I did not have a good internet connection from the base camp. Some basic internet I had, but if I had a full-blown 4G internet connection from the base camp, I would, in those 2 months, I would have set up a very profitable business because I was so detached from the world and so focused. It's amazing. I have difficulty now coming into real life and meeting people and getting myself back into life. Very hard.
That's why I gave you how many, like 2 weeks almost before I say, let's start.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because I know I just wanted you to jet lag and all that kind of get settled down.
I actually, my fingers got impacted. There is 3 levels of frostbite. So I think I got the first level of frostbite on all my 10 fingers. So my fingers have either no sensitivity, fingertips, or I have high sensitivity. And there is blood clots on all my fingers now. So it takes 3 to 4 months for it to recover. But I'm slowly getting back I can type now and things like that. But this is the price you pay. I have a friend of mine who lost 6 toes on a different mountain. So, when we go up there, we are getting ready to lose fingers, our nose, our face. Frostbite can happen anywhere. I suffered a massive facial frostbite in 2013 climbing Russia. So this is given. This is life. So it can happen to climbers on any mountain.
So seems like my understanding is your friendship circle is about to change. Is probably already changed so much because of the people who talk negative, they're gone. Because there's no room.
No. I think if you start really, life is not is about competency and also incompetency. So you need both. You need people who will tell you, hey, don't go on mountains, it will kill you. It's okay. They are there. But one thing has happened. I have educated a lot of people about climbing as a result of this. Now there is a lot of respect for climbing, and people can understand what it is. My sponsors can understand what it is. My supporters understand. You and I are talking now, and we are talking about Everest, which would have never happened. So that's the beauty of this. And a lot of people got educated. I educated myself by doing it. I'm sharing it with others, so others also knowing it. So which is a blessing. So that's how I look at it.
How hard it was for you to get a support from your family, because you have beautiful kids too, because it's not easy.
Because the number one question I get in today is my second interview. I had one radio interview earlier this morning. So the question I got is, how did you tell your wife that you're going to climb Everest? This is the number one question I'm getting. So
okay.
The answer to that is, you don't tell.
You don't tell?
You don't tell. You enlist them. So I enlisted my wife. When I told her I'm climbing Everest, she pushed me back. She was crying, all that. Then finally I said, hey, how about we climb? How about we do some hikes? How about you come along with me? So she started climbing, and she went to, I sent her to the base camp first, right away to base camp. And then she came back. She said, I will allow you to go to base camp. And then she went and climbed Everest in Russia. So she got experience, she got exposure. And as she started gaining more and more knowledge, she became more supportive. I also deeply believe that both of my kids are pretty much on their own. In the sense that there will be a loss. See, the more you climb the mountains. If you historically look at all the climbers, sooner or later, one of the mountains will take you. You will go. If you keep on climbing, you will go. So I don't call myself as a mountaineer. I don't call myself as a climber. I'm recreational, right? I have a life outside. I just go and come back. Will I make a stupid decision that will kill me? There is a possibility of that. But I also firmly believe that the amount of support I got from the kids and the families is unparalleled. I don't think anybody will, it's a blessing to get that support. Blessing to step on the mountain to climb it. It's just a blessing. There's no, and I'm very humble about it, in the sense that I don't take it for granted, So I think the kids are pretty much very smart, in the sense that they are like, okay, so I understand you're going to climb the mountain. So I understand that you're going to die. Like, no, I'm not going to die. My son, I'm not going to die. Okay, don't, so if I would have done it 8 years ago, then there was no approval needed from them. They were small, but now, I need their approval. They are okay with it. They're like, okay. So I think I will leave a better measure for them to compete and to look up to than living a mediocre life below the line. If I don't do it, then I think I'm setting very wrong standards for them, personally speaking. So I'm setting very difficult standards. They know that. They in their mind, they know that dad is pushing something very big, and in the process, life can also go. They are okay. They're coming to terms with it. Ideally, you don't want to go. Messner, the greatest climber, whom we study, Ron Messner, he said something. He said, if you give your soul to the mountain, it will take away your life. And I don't think I gave my soul yet. So I'm just like a recreational climber, climbing and coming down. But then who knows what will happen? I'll ask you this, Siddique Saab, I'll ask you this. If life comes to an end on Everest, right? I don't think there's a better place to go. Where else would you go? In a hospital, in a care facility, in a hospice? I don't want to go that way. I would like to go. It's a very good place. If it happens in the mountains, it's perfectly okay. It's perfectly fine. No regrets.
Yeah. If I heard it correctly, you said the mediocre life is now kids are going to push themselves to go up, because by looking at you, because you're trying so hard on yourself. So why is it important not to live a mediocre life then? Because 98%, 99% people live mediocre life anyway. That's a fact of life. We don't have to worry about it.
And they don't know about it.
No, right? I think some talk about it, but they don't. Yeah, mostly they don't know about it. Yeah,
mostly they don't know. Yeah. So I think once it crosses your mind that you can be more than what you are, and that you can achieve, can have better accomplishments than what you have, and once you realize that, I think it's a very difficult position to be in the middle. In the sense that I can do, but I choose not to do. And that's a very bad position to be in. You have one life, and you need to be passionate about what you do, whatever it is. I'm not saying climbing Everest, whether starting a business or building a house, whatever your goal is. And I think you got to be passionate about it. And I think the pursuit is more important than the outcome, in the sense that you may not make a single dollar in your business today, and you probably will not make that single dollar for next 10 years. But the pursuit itself is such powerful, because it will make you enthusiastic. It will give you a new meaning, that you wake up every day in the morning and try doing something that otherwise others are not doing. And I think that that pursuit itself is nothing but happiness. And if you don't do it, then, and you know that you have in you, I think it's I think the mediocrity is your biggest enemy. It's not about money, or it's not about wealth, or any of those things. It's not just that you are stuck in the middle, unable to figure out what to do. I think that is a very bad position to be in. It's okay to stay on and be happy where you are, and it's okay to pursue something big. But the middle part, in the middle, that you're stuck thinking that you could do better, but you are not able to do because your situation, your circumstances, your family, your friends, somebody is not supporting, something is not working in your favor. I think that's a very bad position to be. And the only way out is you can't go back. You can't retract. Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said, once the mind expands to a new thought, it cannot contract back to its original position. So if you are acquiring knowledge, wisdom, the only path is forward. There's no way back. There is, unfortunately, there is none. And question, I'm not sure.
So while you are on the base camp too, when you're thinking you are not feeling well, and I'm sure there's some people who are in that similar position that say, I still want to go, because giving up is not easy. And you're so determined, you prepare for it, you are all in 100%. So on what basis criteria you say, you know what, I think it's worth going back and get better and prepare themselves and then come back again? Or
so the reason why people don't give up is because there are people whom I met who have mortgaged their house, who have taken loan on gold, who have there's a lot. There is people, they don't know how to go home and tell that they could not do it, and they don't want to have that conversation. So they have not experienced failure before, and this is like they don't want to experience this failure. So there are different reasons that are driving that decision, but it is an internal thing. It's fundamentally the choice is internal. I luckily got not only what I thought. I asked my Sherpa, but my Sherpa clearly told me that if you choose from this point to move forward, then you are making a bad decision. He clearly told me on my face. He was vocal. He was like he put a big barrier in front of me. He said, you cross this line, you will run into problems on the top. And me, 10 other people would not be able to save you. And not only I'm feeling that way, he's telling me the same thing. So we have consensus. That decision to turn back is something that you have to really make. There is nothing right. There is no mathematical formula saying if you feel this way and this way and this way, you should call it off, because people have different things that are guiding them. My guidance was very simple, that I don't want to be a weak man on my ultimate day of my life. I don't want to climb weak. You climb weak, you will descend dead. Very simple. You ascend weak, you descend dead. This is a very simple formula. And that's true everywhere.
So how the plan look like? So now you came back, you did a lot of lessons, and then I can tell right off from your face, you are going to go for homework again and prepare for it and come back and actually do it. That's who your mindset is. So how that look like? Or it's too early?
No. I came down. The first thing I did is go to the gym and push my 3-minute mile mark to see how far I'm running. And I was happy with my run, which is 8 minutes a mile, which was what I was clocking before. So the first thing I did after I got off the plane is go to the gym. So people are whether I'm going back next year, and my answer is I do not know. I do not know because of multiple reasons. One is I'm coaching, I'm training very hard. And then I have to climb a few mountains. I have to really prepare myself. But I cannot say I'm going next year or whatever, any of those things. I'm under pressure from everyone to go next year. But
I don't think so. We should put a deadline for something which you don't know. You need to evolve yourself.
Right, but I can tell you that when I do go, I will be the best in the game. I will be the best.
That's great. So
there is
failure is a lesson. When you don't touch the finish line, if you consider it as a failure, that will take as a lesson and prepare for it. That's not like you lost. There's nothing called lost.
I will show you. I mean, there is at some point I will share with you some statistical data that's going to blow your mind at what level we are capturing data on a daily basis. I'm running a 1-minute mile in 8 minutes early in the morning at 6 o'clock, but I'm not able to run the 8-minute mile in the afternoon. I'm not able to run the 8-minute mile at 2 o'clock in the morning yet. For you to really succeed, you need to get the metrics at every part, because you are going in the middle of the night, you are climbing. So your performance has to match across the board. It cannot be done haphazardly. Oh, I can run 8 minutes a mile. When do you run 8 minutes a mile? Before lunch, after lunch, before dinner, after dinner, before you sleep, after you wake up? When? So you ask those specific questions, people just, they cannot put their finger and point out. So I need to fix those things at my level. And now I somehow feel that I don't have time. Like everything I want to do quick, but I want to do it right. And I want to do it with power. So that's another big takeaway from the mountain, is to really, there's no time. You can't sit around, wait around, and okay, next year I will do business. Next year I'll make $1 million. It's now or never.
Now or never. Now or never.
Yeah.
So,
seriously.
It seems like we will be talking a lot, because all your notes we need to put on the videos somewhere, small bites. So that's a lot of lessons for many people to actually, So who else could be your host, except me?
No. I'll tell you. First of all, I want to thank you, Siddique Saab. You have been a tremendous friend at multiple levels. I really treasure my friendship with you. You are an incredible man. Your heart is golden. And every time I talk to you, I take this as an absolute honor. Whether we are doing an interview or whether we are talking something, offline, whatever. I said that at the very beginning. So I absolutely wish you all the best, in whatever you are doing socially, entrepreneurially. I think it can't get better than what you do. So I respect you for that. And I wish you all the best in everything that you do.
Feeling is mutual. As we are about to wrap up, what would you say as a final word to people who are watching this?
The one thing that I was sharing this earlier also on the radio interview, I think if it ever crossed your mind that you should be doing something, just that sooner or later you'll go back to that thought. It's just a matter of time. It is not going to slip. It crossed your mind. It is there. You will go back to it. So I think no challenge is big if you make yourself bigger. And I say, whether you acquire it, you learn it, you acquire it, you get somebody else's help to do it, whatever your goal is, if it comes down to you willing to make the change to make it happen. In other words, you get going with it quickly, because that's going to cross your mind. Soon that thought will become a goal. And when it really comes, when the opportunity does show up, you don't want to be unprepared for it. That's then, I was working out 3 hours a day. Turns out it's not sufficient. I have to work out 6 hours a day, and then have to recover quickly. I need a fast recovery mechanism. I need to eat well, sleep well, but at the same time, don't sleep that much and don't eat that much. At the same time, maintain your energy. At the same time, you need to reach performance numbers and all. So there is a huge change that has to happen at my level that I now know. Luckily, I have some great mentors who are coaching me, training me. So don't push away things just because they're not right for you. If they're crossing your mind, they are for you. So you need to go after them. That's the final message. I pushed it too far away, but I should have done it long ago. But anyway, it is what it is.
Thank you so much, Srini Saripalli. Really appreciate, admire your efforts and on your vision and all. I'm so glad you made the right decision to, when you felt where you should be. That's what you did basically.
Thank you, and you and I having, you allowing me to speak to you this way, in this format, in this setup. Means a lot personally to me. So thank you for doing so.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you're watching this now, you need to think big. Now, thinking big is not enough. You need to prepare for that to achieve it with the help of the mentors who have already achieved it.
One last word. Spectacular performance, is always preceded by spectacular preparation.
Yes.
You can't have spectacular performance without spectacular preparation. So
preparation, yes.
Always.
Thank you. See you on next one.